and he's going to house it.
It's amazing. Absolutely amazing.
What's going on, everybody, and welcome to another Angle of Pursuit podcast, your fantasy football, sports betting, and NASCAR home. I'm your host, Kyle Robert. You follow me on Twitter at NotoriousKRO. With me to break down the Drydene 400 betting board, first look, some initial leans, some thoughts. Obviously, we're in recapping all of what last week was at Talladega. It's Brian Twining. What's up, Brian?
What's up, Kyle? Yeah, speaking about Talladega, I know there was multiple other people, but how the hell did Eric Jones not seal the deal on the last lap there, man?
Because he's Eric Jones, and that's what he does.
70-1 on the line.
Yeah, the end of the race. So obviously, Brian and I both have nice, sizable outrights on Ross Chastain. So we were very happy to see him cruise to the finish. That being said, our betting cards and DFS cards saw a wild turn on the way that race ended. I thought Kyle Larson might win. I thought I had Kyle Larson, Kurt Busch, and William Byron top tens. I thought I was going to cash all these. I'm feeling good. I got all this stuff going. And then
Christopher Bell too. Christopher Bell's probably inside the top 10, top 5 if he doesn't have contact with Kyle Busch coming out of the pits. So
yep. Yeah, Kyle Busch pinched him, flipped him around, and all of a sudden he's 20 something. Cole Custer looks great until he's out of the race. Even Brad Keselowski, I was feeling okay about him until he wasn't able to finish, and then. You go all in on Chris Buescher, and he's out within the first 5 minutes of the race. So it was a wild range of outcomes for us on Sunday.
That's Talladega, though.
That is Talladega for you. But I'm gonna let's start with DraftKings. We'll run through some of our thoughts, and kind of go, and then we'll get to our betting board, and then we'll jump into this week's bets. As always, you can jump ahead in the time code. If you are enjoying the content, if you are enjoying what we're doing, make sure you hit that subscribe button. It will enter you to win this Christopher Bell signed mini helmet. If we get to 500 subs before the NASCAR playoffs, it will go away to one lucky winner. Has a COA and everything, so very, very legit. If we can get to 1,000 by the end of the NASCAR playoffs, then we'll have an even better prize. So make sure you're smashing the thumbs up. Make sure you're hitting the like button, leaving a comment on your favorite bet for the week. All of those things go a long way. Take you all of 30 seconds. And do a lot for us. So please, 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 please take some time, do those things, and let's jump into it, Brian. So here is our DraftKings lineup. As you can see, not great.
Look at those cars.
Ricky Stenhouse spinning out, doing spin out things, finishing 95 laps being out. Chris Buescher making it 56 laps rather, not finishing. And then Cole Custer making it 98 of 188. Not great. We did have Ross Chastain the winner, so that's something. Brad Keselowski obviously didn't finish the last lap, so not what you're looking for. And then Chase Elliott was one of the ones that we were really excited about, and ended up having a pretty solid race, obviously finishing 7th with all the carnage at the end. I did have a few other lineups. This was my best, including Ryan Blaney, who ended up being a smash along with Chase Elliott, although he only got to 11th. I felt like he was in much better conversation for a majority of the race and was only able to get to 11th by the end. So that was a little frustrating. Obviously the wreck kind of sucked him up a little bit too. Alex Bowman ended up being a nice value. Like these three guys right here, I think were kind of key, and you had to figure out the rest of them.
Corey LaJoy, though.
Corey LaJoy, baby.
14th.
Finishing 14th, partially due to carnage, partially due to whatever. But getting him there as well. We were both mentioned him when we were building lineups and as a potential guy to get to. And then I would have like I think Custer finishes the race. I think this lineup does really well. And at one point it was doing, I think it was fourth. In the what was this? I think this is a $12 single entry. Ended up finishing, yeah. So this is like 196 people. I was fourth at one point. Ended up finishing 36. So not bad, but hey, I won 25 on $12, so I'm not gonna complain.
Yeah, no,
Um,
I think too the race, the constant green over the last like whatever it was, like 50 something laps or
yeah,
60 something laps, that definitely played into somebody like Blaney not finishing as high as he should have because when they cycled through the pits, he kind of got cycled back a little
yep.
bit after a slower pit stop, and then he never had the opportunity to move back up with the a restart. And
Yeah, and I was feeling good too because his first couple pit stops, he was actually doing really well, and the crew was on top of it. I'm like, okay, things are better. And then of course the critical pit stop absolutely crushed him. So, you know, a decent week, not the best, not the worst. We'll get back to it again, obviously, as we head to Dover. We'll be back on Saturday, recording Saturday night. We'll be on your YouTube feed Sunday morning. Let's look at the betting card. I'm not gonna say I'm disappointed because I hit some winners. I was happy to do it. I hit Eric Jones top 10. I hit I won the show bet, which again I gotta figure out the show bet record because I feel like I'm absolutely smashing you. Michael McDowell top 10, sneaking in there. 100, plus 175. That was a nice little top 10 bet there. Um, I had Keselowski over Harvick. That didn't hit. I thought it was going to. It did not. McDowell over Stenhouse. That was a nice little hedge on the Stenhouse outright or Stenhouse placing bets that we made. And then Custer over Harrison Burton, even though Custer didn't even finish the race, he still won
yeah,
that bet.
that was a battle of attrition right
So
there.
I'm happy to do that. So, not a great week, but I thought I had a Kyle Larson potential outright. I thought I had like Willie B was right there at top 3. I thought that was gonna hit. Almirola was right there. I think he was like 7th right at the end, right before the accident. Accident really crushed him. So I don't know. Maybe some of my other bets don't hit and ends up kind of being the same. You had Eric Jones top 10 as one of your favorite bets. Plus you get plus 280, almost 3-1, so that was a nice hit for you. You had the McDowell top 10 as well, and then you had Blaney Logano as well. So we'll have to take a look as we are just absolutely crushing it, Brian. We are doing amazing work over here. Long way to go. I'm
I
not.
will say, I had tweeted out, and I was talking to you about this. I actually did hit a Ross Chastain outright on
Of
the
course you
race
did.
that I had bet, which of course I didn't mention on the show, so I don't want to take any credit for it. But he was one of the few guys that I did pepper on the offshore that I have access to.
Yeah, I think what I'm going to do is Sunday morning is find out who you actually bet on your betting card. Look at your show betting card. Compare, find the one or two guys that you didn't bet or that you did bet that didn't end up on the card for some reason and bet them because Hamlin was that guy,
Yep,
Chastain was that
Chastain.
guy, and they've all been at good numbers too. So
Yeah.
I'm going to ride the wave. But let's jump into it. Let's look at the odds for this week as Kyle Larson is a massive favorite. Massive favorite. I haven't seen one of these this season. I was curious if we were going to get one of these. The way things are going and the way that different people have won kind of seemingly each week, I'm not sure. Like I know we've kind of never been like a bet a small number anyways. But
Yeah.
like last year, especially, there was certain tracks where it made a lot of sense to get to a couple names. And once you got beyond a few names, it was kind of like, well, I'm not betting any of these guys because the odds of them actually winning the race isn't there. But with the new cars, with the new strategies, with some of the new pit crew stuff, I don't know that I can bet Kyle Larson at 4.5 to 1 when I can bet Chase Elliott or William Byron at double the odds.
Yeah, I mean, Larson has been really good at Dover, but
Yeah,
at the
it's
same
incredible.
token, like not
But even over his
doubly good.
and even over his last 3 races, he's only won once. So it's not like he wins every time.
Yeah.
Kevin Harvick has a win over his last 5. Truex has a win over his last 5. Alex Bowman has a win.
I was gonna say
Uh,
for me, I feel like Martin Truex Jr. should be the favorite at this race, but they're definitely factoring in 2022 performance
yep.
because the Toyotas haven't looked as good. Truex
Nope.
hasn't looked as good. However, he's coming off of I believe he finished 5th at Talladega. He's prior to last year, where he started on the pole, by the way, finished 19th. He had 4 consecutive trips to Dover where he finished top 2 and he won back in 2019. So this is a guy who is constantly running inside the top 3 at this track. And at 12 to 1, that should be the favorite at probably 10 to 1 or so.
Yeah, and like, obviously Bristol Dirt, I don't really factor that in. And Martinsville, a place where he traditionally does well, he kind of struggled, but he was 4th at Richmond, he was 8th at Atlanta, he was 8th at Vegas. It's not like he's been running poorly. Maybe he
Yeah,
doesn't
exactly.
win. But he's been in that top 5 conversation in a lot of races. So that is a good point by you, and I think an interesting person to target this week. Obviously, in terms of history at this track has been pretty solid.
Well, I mean, eight of his last 10 trips to Dover, he's
Yeah,
top 5.
yeah, and you can
I
get
mean,
him at 12 to 1, where Larson
yeah.
is 4.5 to 1, so almost 3 times the odds. Interesting to see Bowman up here. Not that it's not deserved; it's just he's usually a tier or 2 below kind of the initial group. So I think he's starting to get a lot more respect. Obviously, he's a guy that never really gets like as much attention in the pecking order of the Hendrick guys, but has also found his way to victory lane a few more times than some of his teammates. So it's a weird spot for him. Let's keep going. Let's go down a little bit more as this range is pretty interesting. So there's a lot of like that 10 to 12 to 1 guys, obviously Bowman, Truex, and then we get to Logano, we get into Hamlin, our guy Ryan Blaney, who we seem to lean bet every single week. Kevin Harvick, Kyle Busch is kind of the last one. So kind of that group is beyond Truex. Is there another name that is compelling to you, someone that you could find yourself getting to this week?
I'm going to continue to go to the well until it finally hits, and that's Ryan Blaney. It's there. Every single race, he's there. It's just whether or not he can finish at the end. And I mean,
Yeah.
you have to think at some point he's going to put it all together and put a full race on a Sunday and wind up in victory lane. But it's just a matter of when. And at this point, I feel like I'm fighting a losing battle, both figuratively and
Yeah, you'll be in
literally.
such a
So
massive hole from betting him each and every week that when he
yeah,
wins, you'll still be in the black, but
I'm
or the
gonna need
red.
2 wins out of him at this
Yeah.
point.
Well, and once he wins, then you won't stop betting him for the rest of the season, even though you should
Yeah,
probably cut your
exactly.
losses at that point. Kevin Harvick being priced here is interesting. Obviously, a tremendous run of success at this track, has been behind Kyle Larson, probably the second best driver. But I don't know how, like, I feel like he's becoming more interesting, especially as of late. I feel like he's a lot more competitive in terms of actually being able to win the race. I don't know. Is he someone that you would consider this week, or are you just crossing him off, going, okay, I can get Blaney here, I can get Hamlin here, I can even dip into Kyle Busch, or keep going down the board and find other names I like.
Yeah, honestly, I can't bet Kevin Harvick on an outright at that shorter number. He
No.
doesn't feel like the kind of driver that should be kind of put in this category of outright. He should be more in that like 18 to 1, maybe 20 to 1 spot, especially to open the week.
Yeah.
Just based on like where we've seen him run. I mean, he finished second to Hamlin a couple weeks ago, but other than that, he has not shown the ability to run at the top of the field, so I can't get there at 12 to 1. It's
Yeah.
too short.
Yeah. Fair. Keep rolling. Got Tyler Reddick at 16. Chastain is anywhere from 12 to 16, depending on where you see it. Obviously, a guy that has taken tremendous strides this year.
Ross the Boss, any track style, he
Yep.
is kicking ass.
Which is awesome for people holding outrights on him because he's going to have to do it on a variety of tracks come NASCAR playoff time. Then we enter a range of interesting names, including Chase Briscoe at 20 and our guy Christopher Bell at 25. Once again, if you have not subscribed, do so, and you can be entered to win this signed Christopher Bell mini helmet. Make sure you do that. Once we hit 500, I will be giving that away, assuming it's before the NASCAR playoffs. So let's make that happen. But Christopher Bell at 25, is that somebody you're going to find yourself gravitating towards?
I think this may be the week where I'm not in on Bell.
Best bet, triple unit. Let's go. If you're out, this is going to be the week he wins. I'm going to be all over him.
I was just going to say, because Christopher Bell has not performed well at Dover in the Cup Series. Three finishes, all outside the top 20. And like we saw at Talladega, it's either somebody else causing him an issue or him getting a flat or his pit crew effing up. Like, he is destined to be the bad luck driver every single week. Even if he does wind up top 10, I just don't see him finishing or winning this race.
So my first bet of the week, Christopher Bell, 25 to 1. I'm putting 1 unit on it. If Brian really keeps him off the card, I might double or triple that up. We'll see. It'll be a fun week to ride that out. Let's keep looking as we scroll down. Then we enter take another drop, and it's a significant jump. So we hit Suarez at 40, Keselowski at 40. There's a 66 at BetMGM that, like, just seeing that his other two odds are at 39 and 40 makes me want to bet it, even though that's probably a dumb bet. Kurt Busch, Austin Dillon had an amazing week. That guy is a money on the super speedways. Really need to bet, I think, more top threes, top fives on him, because he could absolutely get the job done at those sort of tracks. In that range, I guess. Any interest in these guys?
I mean, at these kinds of tracks, it's definitely the actual amount of drivers that have a shot to win are a lot more condensed than what we saw at Talladega. So it's a little more difficult to get to these guys at these numbers.
I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's go into some placings and see if we can't find some value there. As let's see, do we have, maybe I have to click here? Yeah, no. Drydene. Oh, here we go. And we'll go to, should we go straight to top 10 or should we look at top 3 first?
Let's do top 10. Top threes are so difficult.
Okay, so let's go to top 10. Do we have top 10s? It looks like they just have or do they just have FanDuel? Oh, wait. All right, let's do this. Let's go to DraftKings and let's look at their sports book, and then we'll head over to FanDuel too. They might not have odds up, which would be weird, but we'll make it work. I thought Action Network was going to really have it for us, Brian, but as we've seen with these sports books and like whatnot, they're just kind of arbitrarily throwing up numbers. So kind of interesting. But yeah, we have some real short numbers, some numbers that don't make some sense. Stop me when you see names that you want to get in on in the top 5 market. By the way, shouts to our favorite offshore for just like loading up the plus money top 10s on like Chase Elliott and Kyle Larson and all these guys last week. It was really nice. But anyway, so but yeah, so as we get into kind of, Christopher Bell minus 125, Chase Briscoe minus 125 are both pretty interesting options. I don't know that I would go any shorter than that, but at minus 110, minus 120, I'm interested in getting in. Any of these names, Cole Custer, as we kind of dive down, are there any of these names compelling to you?
I honestly feel like they haven't adjusted the board from like super speedway type racing to a Dover track which is really difficult. And like,
Yeah.
I mean, Chase Briscoe at close to even money would be somebody that's intriguing for me just with his like kind of short track racing ability. But even at minus 125 for him, I don't know if I can get there. Brad K, that's SOB. He's interesting at plus 125 considering the other numbers on the board. I think
Yeah.
that's intriguing. Not necessarily something I'd want to bet regularly, but comparing his number to the rest of the field,
Yeah.
it's okay.
Yeah. And for a top 10 on him, I think
Yeah,
that's
exactly. I
interesting.
mean, you're just
I'll,
looking quarter of the field.
yeah. And I think if he qualifies in like the front half of the field, that number is gone. So I think getting on it now is probably the move. But yeah, he's obviously flirted with top 10s in his last few races. We go all the way back 2018, his 6, 14, 12, 11, 9, 8, and 16. So, obviously not somebody that you think can win the race. But when you're talking about plus money on a guy to finish in the top 10 who's actually been pretty solid this year, I think it makes sense. And I'm going to put that on the card, even as gross as it feels to do after last week.
Yeah, and I think the guy that's right ahead of him, Daniel Suarez at even money, he's somebody too that I think I could get to. I mean, maybe not at that even number, but it'll be interesting to see if it moves any prior to qualifying. But
Yeah.
this is a guy who has done pretty good at Dover. I mean, 2 of the last 3 finished 28th and 30th in 2020, but prior to that, it was 14th, 11th, 10th, 3rd, 8th, 6th, and then last year it was a 9th place finish. So he's done it before.
Yeah.
And again, when comparing his number to the rest of the field, that's a really good number for a guy who's shown the ability to do that. And regardless of finishing spots this year, he's been running a lot better than what the like final standings actually indicate.
Yeah. Yeah. And I just checked. FanDuel doesn't have any finishing spots up yet. So we'll keep an eye on that and try and get you guys some odds as we see fit. Obviously, we will be back on Saturday to kind of review everything and update our final betting cards post qualifying. But if anything interesting pops up between now and then, we will definitely try and tweet it out. So make sure you're following us at Notorious KRO, at Greasy Rules 14. You can see the names on the screen. Yeah, BetMGM doesn't have anything yet. Very interesting. I don't know if they're just not really interested in posting lines this week or if they're just getting hammered or what's going on. My guess is there's just other stuff that they're interested in. So,
Well, I mean, the NFL drafts tomorrow, so
yes, very, very good point. What little extra time they have is probably going into that right now.
Yep.
So that would make a lot of sense. Let's look at a top 5 market and see if we can't find some value on some higher level guys. Byron at even money, Bowman at even money are a little better than that. Truex at plus 125 to top 5, or is that just, are these numbers just kind of shrunken? And
those are just so small. Like,
yeah, Chastain at 2-1, like
go down the
yeah.
board. Let's see what we got. Like, what kind of longer shot we could.
Yeah, let's find our like Cole Custer of the week at 7-1, or yeah, I don't know.
I mean,
I feel like, go ahead.
I was gonna say Austin Cindric is the kind of guy who could potentially pop
Yeah,
at any kind of track. I mean, he's in the correct equipment and he's shown the ability to run really well.
yep.
I mean, it's whether or not he can stay on
7.5 to 1. I don't.
yeah,
hate
he could
that.
stay on the track all race, but
Yeah,
7.5 to 1 is a great number. Eric Jones is not somebody I'm getting to at Dover.
yeah. It's a weird week for some of these placement numbers and stats. I feel like I'm going to let the numbers kind of pan out. I feel like come race day, we could get some better numbers. We may lose a couple of these because they qualify well and,
Yeah.
don't really live up to it. But I think.
Well, I mean, just like when you look at the numbers, for instance, Daniel Suarez 40 to 1 on an outright. That to
Yeah.
me does not say he should be 3.5 to 1
Right.
5. I mean, that he should be more the Austin Dillon, 6-1, 7-1.
So you to your Cindric point, on this is Xfinity. Started 16th last year, finished first. Started 14th in 2020, finished third. Started first, finished second. Started second, finished third. That goes a little, and then actually started third, going finished sixth. So that goes all the way back to May. Austin Cindric plus 750 on a top 5. I'm gonna put that on the card and see what we can do. I think I want to find some like matchups and some other stuff with him. But I feel like he is mispriced relative to his potential and relative to kind of some of the other names that I associate with him.
Yeah, that's pretty interesting to hear how the success in the Xfinity series.
Yeah.
And it makes me recontemplate him on the outright market, 60-1.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm getting to him there, go back to our friends over at the Action Network. Was 60-1 the best number we could get on him?
That's on DK, and
Let's
then
see what we got here.
yeah, he's 60 everywhere.
Yep. Let's do it. I'm gonna put it
Yeah.
down for like a quarter unit, but
Yep,
I'm
that's
gonna ride the wave.
same with me. He's the kind of guy that could kind of sneak up the board. There's not a lot of data on him.
Yep.
Just the Xfinity spot. So,
And I feel like we could be talking about him on Saturday, and he's all of a sudden like 35-1, and we're gonna be like, man, I'm glad we got those numbers in, even if come the end of the race, he's not necessarily in the conversation. I feel like the more often you can grab names like that, even if it doesn't quite work out, you eventually it's going to be consistent. So it's about looking for the anomalies in the numbers and not betting names that you like at bad numbers. Like if you
yeah,
can't get
exactly.
the right number on a driver that you want to bet this week, then it's okay to pass, and it's okay to have some weeks we're going to go a little crazy and have a lot of fun with matchups or spray the board with outrights, and then other weeks we'll dial it in a little bit and look for different ways, maybe get a little more DFS heavy that week. It's just playing the odds, looking for good numbers, and kind of seeing how it goes. Obviously, like Brian said, the NFL draft, we'll see come Saturday and Sunday, like when that stuff's kind of winding down, what better numbers we can get and what kind of action is going to determine where these drivers end. And then obviously qualifying will be a big part of that too. So I think that pretty much covers it. Obviously, we can hit the matchups if they have any. Oh, no, but we can bet the driver to win the pole. That's kind of interesting.
That's pretty interesting. That's
I
pretty
just feel
cool.
I feel like that's so like arbitrary, because like you just have to have the fastest car. So if we get some sort of insight that, I guess if we go through practice, but I bet these numbers move between practice and.
Oh yeah, and
But
this
I
is, I
appreciate.
mean, this is just another thing to bet on with NASCAR, and the books know that they're going to get a ton of money on this
Yep.
because of the odds.
Right. It's like first round leaders in golf. They're fun. They're probably not smart bets long term, but they are fun to bet. And you could, grab a Chase Briscoe at 20-1, and all you have to do is have that one fast lap, and then you got a little extra change in your account for the race itself. And I'm sure you're going to bet on a bunch of stuff and then give half of that back, because that's how betting works, is as a form of entertainment, not as a form of money making. But
Hey, just an FYI, DK Austin Cindric 35-1 to win the pole. That's not a bad number.
we're gonna load up on Cindric, and he's just gonna let us down across the board. Yeah, I mean, he gets on the pole, all of a sudden that 60-1's 20-1. So I don't hate that thought either. Okay, Brian, we ran through our odds. We looked at the initial leans, obviously recapped all of last week. That leaves one thing and one thing only. What is your early best bet for the Drydene 400 at Dover?
So considering the board is very it's kind of short in the top 10 market.
Yeah, it's gross.
Top 10s are one of my favorite bets to attack, especially early in the week. I'm going to go with the guy that we talked about late, and that's Austin Cindric to top 10 at 2-1 right now. That's too good of a number for somebody that's as good as he is in the Xfinity Series. There's not a lot known in the Cup Series with him, so it'll be interesting to see how the books adjust after qualifying.
Yep, I will join you on that. Obviously, not my best bet, but bet that I think makes sense. So, like I said, we're gonna bet all these Austin Cindric bets, and things are gonna go horribly, horribly wrong for him on Saturday and Sunday. I'm going Brad Keselowski top 10 at plus money. Like Brian said, the board is really gross this week. I have a feeling our cards will grow significantly between now and race day, because that's just kind of what we do as we talk
They
ourselves
always
into
do.
things. Only one outright as of right now, Christopher Bell, Keselowski top 10, and then our bevy of Cindric bets. Brian has a few. He's doing Truex at 12. He's doing Cindric at 60. And then the top 10 and top you're doing top 10 and top 5, or just top 10
and then another top 10 on Cole Custer, also at 2-1.
Yeah, I don't hate that either. And after last week, he was annoying, but I still think it makes sense. So that's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Roberts. Smash the thumbs up, hit the like, let us know your best bet down in the comments. Obviously, if we get to 500 before the NASCAR playoffs, there could be potentially a Christopher Bell mini helmet signed heading to your mailbox, and Brian's bot accounts are only going to account for about 30% of that. So do with that information as you will. That's Brian Twining. I'm Kyle Robert. You guys have a great day, and we'll talk to you Sunday morning.